Hello everybody, this is Hollywood Joe here again with another WWE DVD review. This afternoon I'm going to talk about probably one of the best DVDs I've seen this year, maybe in the last couple of years, and that is ECW Championship Wrestling, Extreme Championship Wrestling, Unreleased, Vol.1. Can't see it here, there we go. And I'll show you the back here for a minute. And this is a 3-disc DVD set of matches that have never been seen before by the public. Released the DVD for the first time. And I gotta tell you, I was really impressed with these matches. There's some great matches on here. Some of the matches that stick out to me are matches like Too Cold Scorpio versus Chris Jericho, Jerry Lynn versus Rob Van Dam, the first ever ECW Extreme Championship Wrestling title match between Shane Douglas and Too Cold Scorpio, the tag team match with, it was Taz and Eddie Guerrero versus Too Cold Scorpio and Dean Malenko. There was Rhino versus Sandman, Rhino versus Spike Dudley, Taz versus Shane Douglas. There was some really great matches in here. And, it seems like anytime a WWE DVD comes out that's about ECW, it just seems to be really good. Obviously it started back in 2004 with the rise and fall of ECW, which was one of the still one of the highest selling DVDs in WWE history. Then there was ECW One Night Stand, ECW Bloodsport, just all these great ECW DVDs that have come out, and this one is right up there with them. It's a phenomenal DVD. I would recommend it to anybody who's a fan of ECW, who's a fan of the mid to late 90s. It was a really interesting time back then, because they were going up against WWE and WCW. And there's a lot of people that feel that if ECW would have had the funding that WWE and WCW did, a lot of people feel that they'd still be in business. They had a lot of great matches, not just brutal hardcore matches, but a lot of great technical wrestling back when they first started, with guys like Malenko, Benoit, Guerrero, Taz, Too Cold Scorpio. So, it wasn't always about violence and blood and weapons and everything else. They had a lot of great in-ring wrestling talent, and a lot of that is shown in the first disc. Just a remarkable time in the mid-90s for them. Obviously, in the late 90s, towards the end of ECW, the talent, it was good, but it wasn't as great as it was in the beginning. Like I said, WCW stole a lot of ECW talent. WWE, I wouldn't say stole talent, but they saw the bigger picture with some of these superstars, and WWE and WCW really took advantage of the fact that they could pay these guys, and ECW couldn't. Obviously, one of my favorite feuds in ECW back then was Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka. If you remember watching ECW One Night Stand 2005, they had a brutal match, and I'm not talking brutal bad, but brutal as in very violent. And you thought that was violent. They had violent matches at ECW pay-per-views, on ECW television. Tanaka and Awesome's feud goes all the way back to FMW in Japan. So, you know, if you like hard chair shots, watch Masato Tanaka versus Mike Awesome. It's a very, very awesome match, no pun intended. And you know, like I said, the landscape was so much different back then. A lot of people don't get that, you know, back before the PG era, it was a fun time in wrestling, watching all three companies and watching how all three of them strive to be the best in their own way. But at the same time, you know, I do agree with Paul Heyman. I do believe that the WWE and WCW ripped off a lot of ECW concepts, and you know, obviously more people watch WCW and WWE than ECW, so obviously the concepts work better in those companies. Obviously in the end, WCW didn't last, and WWE took over everything, which is still going on today. And you know, you don't see the hardcore stuff, you don't see the brutal stuff anymore. But it's nice that WWE releases this stuff for the wrestling fans of the 90s, because you know, the 90s was a great time in wrestling. The mid to late 90s was probably the best period in pro wrestling history by far. There was three companies, three different styles, three different ways of life for these companies, three different personalities and the people that ran these companies. And I got to give Vince McMahon credit. He's always, you know, trying to, I think, you know, he probably does it to make money, obviously, because I'm sure there's still die-hard WCW fans out there that think WCW was better than WWE. We all know that there's still die-hard ECW fans that think ECW was better than both companies. So it's nice for Vince and WWE to release old footage and old matches of the two companies so people can have those memories and people can relive those matches. Very smart of him to pretty much acquire every wrestling library there is known to man. I mean, you gotta think about it. Vince owns the libraries to ECW, WCW, the AWA, the WCCW, Mid-South, I believe he owns. I mean, he owns a lot of footage from a lot of different wrestling companies, and I have to say it's really awesome. It's really awesome. And like I said, if you love hardcore, brutal, violent matches, you gotta pick up this DVD. Like I said, it's entitled ECW Extreme Championship Wrestling Unreleased Vol.1. And with that being said, when you watch this match, the last thing you're gonna think is, this is extreme. And with that being said, this is Hollywood Joe with Hollywood's World of Sports. Hope you all have a great day, and always remember that ECW will always live on because of DVDs like this. Thank you and have a good day.